Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Niko and today we're gonna be making a reaction video. That's right, for the first time on my channel we're gonna be making a reaction video. So we're gonna be reacting to a video I found a few days ago. It's a video of the early days and the construction of the base plant, and to give you some more information on what the base plant is, basically on the northern side of Alberta there's a whole bunch of oil, and it's not a conventional oil, it's the oil that's mixed up with sands. Some people call it tar sands, some people call it oil sands, I call it oily sands, but you get the idea. And basically back in 1967 they decided, you know what, we're gonna be building a large scale plant that will take this oil sands and it will convert it into synthetic crude oil, which then can be refined at the refinery to get desired products and whatnot. And I really would like to talk about this stuff because I'm a person who actually worked at the base plant for 2.5 years, and this was my first industrial plant that I worked at in my life. So I was like 22 years old when I got there, and you know, it was a completely, it's a different world. It's not what you see every day. It's in 1 square meter you have so much stuff going on, so many pipes and electrical stuff and whatnot, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how much human technology is in one place, and it's a big place, right? Let me show you roughly where it is, or not even roughly, let me show you exactly where it is so you guys can follow along. Oh, and I didn't tell you what I used to do at the plant. I used to be the automation guy. I worked for an engineering company that provided engineering services to the company that owns base plant, which is Suncor still. My job was mostly to do the design and field verification. So for the design, you know, like people come to you, they say, yeah, we have this problem at the plant, we want to make it better. And better means, you know, either we want to make some changes to the process so it works better, or we want to remove something, or we want to add something to have something work better. Or maybe it's just a compliance thing where, you know, the plant has been around for 58 years, since 1967. So in that time span of 58 years, there have been a lot of changes to the standards and the rules of what kind of safety things oil plants should have. And hence is why every once in a while, for whatever piece of equipment, you have to do like a recompliance kind of thing where you make changes to whatever to make things more safe and more efficient and whatnot and stuff like that. Once in a while there's something that can happen, in an accident, you know, a small one or a big one, and that kind of pushes everybody to make changes, right? And that's where we come in. We work with those people at the plant. We listen to what they want to get done, and we make we make the design, we make the changes. And first step in any design work is to kind of like understand what you're working with, what's the condition in the field right now. That's where I came in to do the field verification. I would go into the plant and I would take pictures, take measurements and whatnot of the stuff, of the equipment that's in the field right now. And it was a nice job because I got to see a lot of different parts of the plant, because it's a big plant. There's different processes, different things happening in different parts of the plant. You know, you got the primary extraction, you got the secondary extraction, you got the Unionfining area, you got the which is the hydrotreatment, all the other stuff, you know, the hydrogen production and whatnot, sulfur removal and sulfur recovery, sulfur sour water treatment and stuff like that, coker units and things like that. So I wanted to make a video where I kind of talk about some of those things that I've seen in the plant, and maybe you're a technical person, you'll like to hear that. Maybe you're just somebody else who just wants to hear something. Maybe you're not a technical person, but you're still interested in what are the technical processes that take place at the base plant. Now, the three reasons why I wanted to make this video is, first of all, I came across a video a few days ago where they showed the early days of the base plant, the construction, and the actual opening ceremony. And I've never seen that video before in my life. I do a lot of research on the base plant, and sometimes there's just things that are very easy to come by, but you don't find those things right away for whatever reason. So for the longest time I thought that the only photos and videos we had of the base plant were black and white, but the video I found was actually colored, so I got to see a lot of things in color for the first time, and I got to see what things used to look like back then, which is really nice. And that's why I wanted to make this video and kind of provide some of my offer my experience and comment on a few things that I see there, because for the first time in color, I've seen those things that I seen like back a year ago. For the first time, I've seen those things like what they used to look like back 58 years ago, right? Which is crazy. So the second reason is this year there's a really big project that took place or still taking place at the base plant. So one of the older coker drums is being not one of them, all of the old coker drums that were originally built in 1967, all of them are being removed and replaced with the new ones, and there's like a whole new structure that they built that also replaces the old coker structure that was there. We'll talk more about it in more detail later on, but for now that's what I'm gonna say. And the third reason is what was the third reason? I already forgot. And the third reason is because it's coming up to the opening date. The September 30th, 1967 is when the plant opened. They had the opening ceremony, and it's coming up to that date. So it's gonna be 58 years and in a few days it's gonna be 58 years from the opening. So, and I don't know if people at the base plant are still celebrating that somehow, but here's how I'm gonna celebrate it. I'm gonna make a video and talk about things. So anyway, let's direct our eyes onto the screen. Well, I mean, for you're already watching me on your one and only screen, or maybe you got two screens, doesn't matter. But I'm gonna switch over here to the map and show you where exactly the base plant is located. So we got Alberta over here, got British Columbia. If you're not aware, those two provinces do border each other. So here you go, you learned something from me today. The capital of Alberta is Edmonton. It's actually something I found out just a few days ago, because I always thought that the biggest city, Calgary, was the capital, but it's not. It's I guess it's just like British Columbia, where the biggest city is not the capital either. So, but yeah, Northern Alberta. I'm gonna turn off the labels here. In the Northern Alberta, we got this area where we see some patches on the ground. Something's happening there, right? I mean, we see those everywhere, but there's this one isolated area where something heavy is happening, and that's where the base plant is located. So there's actually In Fort McMurray, Fort McMurray kind of sits in this Athabasca oil sands deposit where there's like, it's a huge area where there's a whole bunch of like oil sands that are enough to make humans enjoy fuel for a while, apparently. Only problem, it's expensive to mine it out. Unlike the conventional oil where you just pipe it out. So there's a couple of plants here. We got the base plant at the bottom here. Then we got the Syncrude over here. And then we got like other plants. We got like Firebag, Curl oil sands. Like I think there's like Imperial oil. There's the Fort Hills and CNRL, and then somebody else is there. I don't even remember who. But we're focusing on the base plant because base plant was one of the first massive commercial plants that were built here in Fort McMurray to get the oil out. Before that, we had some couple of experimental plants that were built here and there. Bitumen, Abasant plant. There's like 4 or 5 of them that were built, and it was just an experimental thing. It was never really commercially successful, let's say. At least they didn't survive to our days. So we'll focus on the base plant. So base plant sits on the Tar Island. I don't know why it's called Tar Island, because it's not on an island, but it sure sits on tar sands, the oil sands. And as we zoom in, we can start to see the actual plant. So this is your base plant. This is your Suncor base plant. This is what it looks like today, but back in the day it used to look a little less busy. It didn't have as many buildings and stuff like that around. So this is the video I was talking about. This is the video we're going to be reacting to. This is a video from a YouTube channel. I think it's called just Periscope Film or Films or wherever. And the actual movie, the actual film is called The Fabulous Oil Sands. And it kind of goes on for 38 minutes. I'm not going to be reacting to all the 38 minutes because there's a lot of like preamble stuff. There's a lot of like explanation of things that I can't really comment on, or things that I don't care about. Like, for example, they talk about population and stuff like that, and how it's gonna grow and stuff like that. And I can't really comment on that much because I haven't been around for that long to see a change, and I haven't been around at that time when the change was actually happening. So instead what we're gonna do is I'm gonna just jump to certain timestamps I have here, and I'm gonna comment on things we see in the video. Mostly just, or not mostly, all of them are gonna be technical things. And yeah. So the first timestamp I have here, and I guess it's kind of nice that they have this. They're showing the time in the video here. It's the 8:29 timestamp, and it's a video of the model of the plant. So it's like an actual model that they built before they actually built the plant. So that's what they designed, and essentially that's what was built, or not essentially, that's what was built pretty much. And I find this very crazy because the whole reason, or maybe it's not the only one reason, but what this was used for is to actually help people on site who were constructing the plant to actually plan for rigging operations. So how they're going to lift those heavy vessels, because you've seen there's a lot of crazy huge crazy things, big vessels, that come in as they put them on a truck, it comes into the plant, they have to lift it, raise it up and put it down, and here you go, you have a massive vessel that stands however many floors high, 14 floors, 10 floors, who cares, stuff like that. And it's quite different from what we get today, because nowadays when we plan, even bringing back that project I mentioned earlier, the one that's going on this year where they're replacing the cockers, they didn't build this model for the plant today. Instead they just use like a computer, like digital, what am I say, computer, digital 3D model, the one that kind of looks like this. Just give me a second, I'll show you. So I do have some 3D models that I could show you, but I don't really have the software ready in place to actually show you that. So instead I'm just gonna show you like a video that is made to kind of show what's gonna be happening in the project. So the project overview video. So this is actually for the project I was just talking about, the coker replacement project. And you can see how instead of using like a physical model, they actually use the digital 3D model to kind of show how they're going to be lifting parts and taking apart the old coker and then placing a new one. So this is how we do things nowadays. When we have computers, we just go and make those animations. We work with the 3D models, and that's how we plan for our rigging operations and other stuff as well, not just rigging operations. For example, in my days during the design work, I was using 3D models to determine where to place LTE antennas and LTE enclosures as well, such that it doesn't obstruct the coverage from reaching out everywhere in the plant, right? So that's something that we considered back in the day. But yeah, back in the day, this is what they used to have. They actually had like a physical model that somebody put a lot of effort into making with this much detail. When I got into 3D printing, this is actually something that I wanted to recreate, something very similar, where I wanted to build like my own plant. But the problem with that is that you can't really find a really good scale to scale it down to. You end up with very big pieces, like some equipment is like 3-story high, and it's very long and it's very wide, and you end up with really big pieces of equipment, and at the same time you also end up with very small pipes everywhere that it's really hard. Some pieces are really hard to 3D print, and some pieces you just can't really 3D print because they're so big, so you might have to split them apart. So I've never really got far in 3D printing my own plant model, very unfortunately. Very nice old video that shows how those big vessels used to be delivered to the plant. So from the railway, they carried them through the main street of the town, which is Franklin Avenue. That's what it's called today, but I guess back in the day they didn't really have a highway, so they actually brought everything through the town, through the main street, and all the way to the plant. This is and then this frame over here, this shows the old bridge, and it shows the curve that kind of, as you enter the town, you go through this curve, then you cross the bridge, and then you get into the town. And that's something that we can still see today, 58 years later. So over here, if you take a look at this area, so this is where the old bridge used to be. As far as I know, the rightmost bridge, that's the old bridge. They just redid it, so they removed that superstructure, that metal structure that used to be there, and they redesigned the bridge. They built it differently, and they built more of the bridges next to it, because now it's a highway, so it's no longer just one road. There's like, you got highway, and then you got the the side lanes that turn into towns. So it's crazy how when you have a lot of money, you can really build like a really nice infrastructure for everybody, and that's what was done. So back in the day, they didn't have any bridges, so they couldn't really get stuff to the base plan, so they had to build the bridge. So now they had a bridge, but it was like a one-lane road on each side. So that wasn't enough, and with time, as you know, more people started coming to town, more projects started coming to town, take place in the area, they build more and more a wider highway. So nowadays it's much easier to travel than I assume back in the day when you only had one lane. But yeah, it's the same area, the same. There's like this hill, very nice. There's like a nice park at the top that's right at the end of the residential area here. But yeah, that's that same area 58 years ago. So and then we have this part over here. This is the original coker drum, one of the coker drums that were installed when the plant was being constructed. And it's back in the day, if I remember it correctly, this used to be the largest. They used to be the largest coker drums in the entire world. So there wasn't anything bigger at the time. But of course, since then, people have built more refineries and the plants, so that has changed. From then until now, we had the original cokers in place. So for the 58 years, maybe 57, because they actually replaced them. They started replacing them in 2024, but the actual removal of the old coker drums took place this year. So 57, 58 years doesn't really matter, but for 57, 58 years you had the original drum in there, sitting and just doing what needed to be done. And then we'll talk about the process more in a little bit as well. This is a very nice part here, like a very nice frame showing the inside of the reformer furnace, hydrogen reformer furnace. And to give you a little bit of a background on the process, basically in oil refining and oil production, we use hydrogen to remove the impurities from the feed, from the oil feed that we're getting. So that would be sulfur, that would be there's like, realistically, there's a lot more stuff that happens with hydrogen. The process itself is called hydrotreatment, because you're treating the oil feed with hydrogen. The actual process was patented, and some people call it Unionfining and Unifining and stuff like that, because there used to be like a union, or maybe there is still a union oil company that came up with the original process and whatnot, and they patented it. But yeah, we use hydrogen to remove impurities like sulfur. Another part of the hydrotreatment that happens is we saturate the unsaturated hydrocarbons. There's like also like a removal of heavy metals from the feed as well, because you wouldn't want to have heavy metals in your refined product, right? So there's a lot of stuff that happens with hydrogen, but mainly it's the removal of sulfur and saturation and removal of like nitrogen and stuff like that. Here we have the hydrogen reformer furnace. Basically, the process that takes place here is you get the natural gas that comes in, you heat it up with steam to, what is it? People say it's 1000 degrees Celsius, but it all changes, because all of the engineering documents that I have access to, they are in Fahrenheit, and I actually didn't do any unit conversion. So some people say it's like 1000 degrees Celsius. The natural gas reacts with steam and produces the elemental hydrogens and CO and CO2, so monoxide, carbon monoxide, dioxides, and of course prior to that you've got a lot of other things that happen, you take the natural gas, it's not exactly in its purest form, so there is some scrubbing that takes place prior to actual natural gas getting into this furnace. But yeah, this is what this furnace looks like. You can see inner sides have, to me this looks like a refractory. I can't really say because the video isn't exactly the best. Like logically thinking, what would be inside the furnace? It would be refractory and maybe some piping as well for the, because there is like a convection section and there is a radiant heat section, so that's why we're probably seeing holes at the top, and everything else is just refractory. So it's very crazy to see how narrow it is, because you know, every time I've been in that area, to me it always looked so much bigger, but realistically it's just only like this wide, maybe like 5 meters across, judging by the person nearby. Hard to say.